Hello, I'm Archibald Chesterfield III, and welcome to the program Fuckers. Hello, nasty fuckers. And today I just wanted to make a video about would you buy a watch without papers? And I've been throwing the line in the water. I got my Rolex President for sale, and I got my Rolex Submariner, the gold subby. I got those two fuckers in the marketplace. And you know how it is there. You know how it is, fuckers. When you put watches of that caliber out to market, you start to get some really vicious, nasty fuckers. They start coming out. And there's a lot of nasty cunts out there. People pretend to be rich. You know, that's something that's quite hilarious. There are people who have obvious financial flaws, and they want to pretend that they're big swinging dicks, when the reality is they don't have a brass razoo, a pot to piss in, or a brass razoo. So they pretend. They all fucking pretend. And I gotta tell you this, fuckers, you know, I got some of these people are just cunts. They know little about watches, and they start making comments. They're trying to inflame you. They're trying to say something nasty to you because they're just cunts. They are absolute cunts. That's the sort of people they are. They're just absolute feral fucking cunts. That's what they are. And I had this guy who pretends to be a Russian in London. Can you believe this? Have you heard of a Russian in London with money? And you think, oh, okay, we'll play along. We'll just play along with this prick. He tells me about how he used to catch jets. Yeah. What do I give a fuck? What do I'm just going to have a scotch whilst I'm talking to you fuckers today. You know, what do I give a fuck whether you used to catch a jet or whether you caught the fucking the subway? What the fuck do I care? I really don't give a shit. And he's big noting himself, and he says, oh, a friend of his bought all these expensive fucking watches and shit like that, and he goes on how important he is, and you know, the usual fucking bullshit. And he raises the question. He starts asking about my sub. And my sub, I bought it without papers, okay? I bought it without papers. And, I mean, he goes on, he wants to sink the boot in because he can't really afford it. He's just pretending to be a moneyed Russian mobster. And he says, oh, he just starts engaging. Then he wants to kick the boot in. Oh, you don't have papers? And I mean, I've never pretended I have papers. It doesn't have papers. And he goes, oh, that's like buying an S-Class Merc without a logbook. And I'm thinking, just fuck off. Just fuck off. And I wanted to answer the question today, is it so critical that the piece has papers? Is it so important? And that's a very interesting question. Is it important the piece has papers? What do you fuckers think? Do you think it's important?
We specialize here in pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex watch is a very special timepiece, and we always do the servicing exactly as factory specifications. We buy a pre-owned piece and we put it into brand new condition. We have Rolex certified technicians working on that. We completely disassemble the piece. We adjust and polish and change every single part of the watch.
You have to have certified watchmakers that know what they're doing. If you have an expensive car, you're just not going to bring it to any mechanic that doesn't know what they're doing.
You spend $5,000, it's like if you put money in the safe deposit box. And 1 or 2 years from now, you will keep having your $5,000. We have to spend a lot of money to get all this equipment together, but makes me feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not a question of money, it's my passion.
Jewelers on Time, simply the best.
Is it important the piece has papers or not? What do I think? Well, ideally, I like a piece that has papers. Sure. I nothing wrong with papers. However, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world if the watch doesn't have papers. And there's a lot of watches I've bought that haven't had papers at times. And is it the end of the world? Not really, not really. How much is papers worth? Look, I've done a lot of wheeler dealing, buy, sell. Papers, how much does papers add to a piece? I'd say realistically, on a steel sort of $5,000 to $10,000 watch, papers is a couple, $200, $250. On a really expensive piece like a gold $20,000 watch, whether it's a Rolex or a Patek or something like that, papers is probably $500 max. It doesn't make the huge deal. And the thing is, if you don't have papers, there's a few things you can do. Number one is, some brands like Patek, you can get an extract from the archive, which is basically like papers. I did that for my Calatrava. The other thing you can do is you can in fact get your watch serviced by the maker, Rolex or Patek, and if you service it, you get service papers because they write the case number and the movement number on the receipt. So service papers is kind of semi-papers. You understand what I mean? If you've got a Rolex watch that's been serviced by Rolex, you can get service papers. Is it the be-all and end-all? Not really, not really. I mean, I like papers. You always like to have them. It depends on the price. If I had a choice of papers on a 80% piece or no papers on a 95% piece, I'd take the 85. So I'd take the 95% piece any fucking day of the week. Condition is more important than papers. And I mean, look, it's like anything. Does the box, this is generally what I like to try and say here. Do box and papers make a difference? And the answer is, they add a little bit, but people who are buying $20,000 to $30,000 watches, $10,000 to $30,000 watch bracket, they're more knowledgeable. Papers isn't the end of the world. I mean, otherwise, no dealer would sell a piece without papers. And I've seen fake papers and I've seen doctored papers. Something that used to happen years ago, you could go to these watch shows, and there used to be blank Rolex papers you could buy. This is vintage papers, and then you could put the reference number of your vintage Rolex on them, and you had papers. I mean, there's so many fucking bullshit things that have happened over time. I wouldn't, just because it's got papers doesn't really prove anything. I've seen fake papers. I've seen wrong papers. People fucked it up. I've had a few watches which have had the wrong fucking number. Clearly, when the person was buying it, they fucked it up. They got mixed up. That's what can happen at times. And this is life. This is how things go. So, what's the thing? Is papers the be-all and end-all? Well, it's nice to have them, but you're looking at a couple $100 more if you've got the papers. If I had a choice of having a watch with papers or a watch with the box, I'd probably swing to the watch with the box. That's probably more important to me. I think the box doesn't make a huge difference in the deal, but it makes it easier to sell. You got the correct box for the watch. It makes it easier to sell. So that's generally my opinion. The box is nice, papers are nice, but it's not the end of the world. Otherwise, you know, it's just not the end of the world. And some people think if it doesn't have papers, it can't be real, it can't be this. Papers get lost for a number of reasons. They are nasty, vicious wives. They get left behind, they get damaged, they get, you know, all sorts of things happen. And yes, I prefer pieces with papers, but at the end of the day, the price of the piece and the condition is more important of whether it's got a piece of fucking paper with it or not. And if you're that stupid that you put your belief into the piece of paper, I've seen fake papers. I've seen a lot of dodgy things, and it's not a guarantee to anything. So to answer the question, I like papers, but it's not the be-all and end-all. So I gladly buy watches without papers. What pieces of mine have papers at the moment? What have I got there? My Speedy, no papers. My Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Grand Date, I got papers with that. Yes, it came with papers. Papers, box, and manuals, everything. It was a complete set. What else have I got there? My Explorer 2, box, no papers. My Gold Sub, no papers. My President, no papers. That's the deal. I didn't have to buy them. I mean, there's no question of it being authentic or not authentic. It just didn't have papers. Is it a deal breaker? No, it's not. It's not a deal breaker. And I think myself, it's nice to have this stuff, but the condition and the price is more important to me. I'm Archibald Chesterfield III. Tell me what you dumb, uninformed, stupid fuckers think of that. Nice one, Archie. Great vid.
We specialize in the repair of Rolex and Patek Philippe watches. We've been doing the same thing for more than 25 years. We have Rolex technicians certified by Rolex who actually used to work for the company for many years, like if we're doing the work on the factory. We completely disassemble the watch and we put it to work like brand new condition. When you get the pre-owned watch, it's like if you're getting a brand new unit. The only difference is the money.